Today we're making this spicy tofu scramble, my take on a Burji pav, an Indian spice scrambled egg. So there's a few different ingredients going into this today. The two most important ingredients for me is obviously the tofu, but this as well. This is Kala Namak, I think you pronounce it, which is like a sulphur and eggy salt. It really does smell quite eggy. So that's the two most important things. You could make this tofu scramble with that and a little bit of tumeric and some butter. It could be as simple as that. But we're adding a few different things to this as well. We've got a red onion, a medium red tomato, some nutritional yeast. I'll put all the measurements in this for you. I'm going to use garlic, 3 cloves of fresh garlic. I'm going to use half a red chilli. Normally I would use, if it was just for me I was cooking this for, I would use a full red chilli, but it's not just for me, not everybody likes it spicy. So that. A thumb-sized piece of ginger, unless you've got abnormally large thumbs, then just that kind of size. Because if you've got huge thumbs, then it's just going to, the whole thing will stink of ginger. Cayenne pepper, a little bit of that. Some smoked paprika. You can use normal paprika. I like the smoked stuff. We've got this coriander, fresh coriander. It's looking a wee bit limp, but some fresh coriander. And some butter and a wee bit of plant-based milk as well. We've got barista here. That's us, let's get on with it. So my two favourite presents for Christmas was a pair of sliders and this, a tofu press. Had the tofu pressing for about half an hour now to get as much moisture out of it as possible. Don't necessarily need that. If you don't have a tofu press at home, then just give it a wee squeeze when you take it out of the packet over the sink and get as much moisture out as you can. But I've got this, Kelly got me this, and if you don't know what sliders are, they're kind of like sporty flip-flop. First thing we want to do is chop the red onion. Whilst we've got the red onion, first thing we want to do is chop red onion. Whilst I'm chopping that, I've got a pan heating up just now with some olive oil in it, just a little bit of olive oil to barely cover the base of the pan.
1 hour later.
So next we've got the ginger, and we're just going to cut this up. Usually the easiest way to peel this is just get the back of a spoon and scrape it, but we've not had our breakfast yet and it's about 11:30, so I'm really hungry, so I'm just going to get this done as quickly as possible. Okay, little bad bit on there, take that out with a knife. And we're just going to chop this up into little cubes. There's a proper chef name for that, but I can't remember what it is. All these French terms, I can't remember what it is. Interesting fact, I've already mentioned flip-flops. Did you know that the flip-flop was invented by a Frenchman? His name was Philippe Flop. Get a bigger knife. So we don't really want people getting like big chunks of ginger. It can be quite harsh on you, a big chunk of ginger. I remember when I was a wee boy, we used to fondly dunk ginger nuts into a steaming hot cup of tea. That's called bullying nowadays, you can't do that. So the ginger, then we're going to put the ginger into the pan also. And then we're going to put roughly half a red chilli in this. Just that little bit. It's just to add a little bit of heat. They're not spicy chilies these. So you can ramp this up if you want. If you really want to make this a wee bit spicier, then get a hotter chili as well than this. I've tried it with Scotch bonnet and it was lovely. But again, this isn't just for me that I'm cooking today. And of course, if you're chopping chilies, make sure you don't go for a pee afterwards. And don't wipe your bum. Next up, we've got in fact I'm going to put 4 cloves of garlic in this because that one's quite small, so I'm going to put 4 cloves. Just depending on the size of garlic you've got. For garlic, I love this thing, the garlic press, so it makes life just a little bit easier. So I'm just going to press the garlic in. So we've got the onions, the ginger and the chilli in there at the moment, so just give that a wee squeeze in there. See that? And just get the back of a knife, put that in. You can smell that ginger, it smells amazing. There we go. And that is all our garlic in. Give that a wee stir round. And it smells absolutely amazing. Next up, we'll chop our tomato. We don't want the tomato to cook as long in this. I just find the tomato just goes a little bit mushy if you put it in too long. So de-seed this, which means take all the seeds out. My university education wasn't wasted. There we go, so now we can put our tomato in. And honestly, I know I keep saying it, but it smells absolutely fantastic in this pan just now. So at this point I'm going to turn the heat just up just a tiny bit, still on a low heat. And what I'm going to do is take a little bit of this butter. I will get a clean spoon for that. And we're putting a little bit of butter in here. It is Flora that we're using. We've tried lots of different plant-based butters. That's our favourite so far. So next up is our tofu. And we're going to take half a block, as I said, and that will get crumbled in. That's going to get crumbled in. Just break it up. Now you can put this in a plate beforehand and give it a good forking, but I prefer just to break it up in my hands and crumble it into the pan. Probably safer to do it in a plate, to be honest. So I like to put the tofu in at this point to really get all those flavours infused and amongst it. So next up is our flavouring, our spices. We've got nutritional yeast, and it's a dessert spoon I've got. So I'm putting a dessert spoon of nutritional yeast, probably a dessert spoon and a half, let's say. We've got turmeric, and we want a teaspoon of turmeric, a teaspoon of smoked paprika, and half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Again, if you want to ramp that up and make it a little bit spicier, then do that. Put a little bit more cayenne pepper in. Am I saying that right? Cayenne, is it? Cayenne, I don't know. So that's our spice mix all done there. And now, before we do that, give this a little mix. And at this point, what you want to do is have a look for the larger chunks and just give them a little break up there. Okay, and at this point, I'm going to turn the heat up to a medium heat. You can really hear that sizzle away now. And then our spice mix goes in. Just give that a stir round. And at this point you're going to see it completely transform in colour. And the first thing that hits me is a big waft of that smoked paprika coming off that. Oh, it smells amazing. Okay, and it is just a tiny little bit dry at this point, so what I do is get some of this barista I use, some plant-based milk. This is oat milk, and just the tiniest splash in there of that, and that's going to work wonders. It's going to bring it all together, lift all those flavours off the bottom of the pan. So the other things we haven't put in at this point, it says the coriander and the sulphur salt, the black salt. The reason I don't put the black salt in until the end is I think the flavour gets cooked out, that egginess gets cooked out. So take some coriander and just rip it. You don't need to chop that. I think sometimes chopping loses a little bit of the flavour of herbs. Nice fresh coriander there. Grab a little bit more of that. And this is young, tender coriander, so you can get some of the stalks in there as well. That is us there. So last thing we need to do is get some of this salt, and we don't need a lot of this, honestly. It's so pungent. Probably about half a teaspoon full you're putting in. Turn the heat completely off and coffee. Moment of truth. What does it taste like? Oh, that's rotten. I'm just joking. That's absolutely lovely. Spicy Indian scrambled eggs. Give it a bash. Dead easy. Block of tofu. What are you doing?